Well, for more, let's bring in our global economics analyst and BERI CEO, Saruhan Hatipoglu. Saruhan, good to see you.
Hi, Rachelle.
So it's interesting, this time last year, you and I were sitting together digesting these US election results as Donald Trump was declared president. How would you say the economy has fared over the last year?
Well, we haven't seen that much of a change. On the main economy itself, really, we have seen what we've seen under Barack Obama's leadership. If you look at numbers, and they'll tell you the same thing, if you look at just the economic growth, when President Trump took over, the first quarter was 1.2%, actually less than 1.8% during President Obama, and then it improved. If you look at the stock market, I would say that's the main difference here because it has rallied. S&P over 20%, Dow Jones about 28%, second in this contemporary history. That's quite a story. But if you look at job growth, for example, we just talked about that here too, 4.1% unemployment, but if you look at job growth on a monthly basis, average monthly basis, after the recovery in 2010, it was 185,000 per month. Under the Trump presidency, it's 167,000. So it has actually gotten a little worse. It has slowed down. But overall, the economy is doing well. Should President Trump take credit for it? I don't think so. If I were to give him a grade, it would be an incomplete at this point.
Well, obviously, still early days, only a year in, but with the economy doing so well then, are you surprised that Trump's popularity ratings are so low, and does that even matter? It
does matter because, again, the economy is doing well because of this amazing stock market performance. I mean, the financial part of it is doing well. But if you look at the actual numbers in there, 1% of the highest income has 40% of the stock market ownership. Now, who is this benefiting, really? It is benefiting the ultra-rich. The deregulations are benefiting the ultra-rich. We haven't seen that trickle down. Yes, I'm using that word. It doesn't work. It will not work this time. We're waiting it to trickle down to the main economy. But unless the reform measures are taken at the economic policies, we haven't seen yet, this will not happen. So this is why we're seeing a 37% popularity. This is probably what we've seen in the state elections yesterday.
Now, as we look at Trump's economic priorities, how do you think that's going to impact the U.S. growth going forward?
Well, it depends on what he really wants to do. If he really pushes a good infrastructure plan, which is yet to be seen, that's what this country needs. It's responsible fiscal spending because monetary policy cannot carry this load forever. We know that, and the Federal Reserve is already talking about raising the rates in December, and will continue. The second thing is tax reform, and I'm going to underline that, the reform part, because what we're going to be seeing tomorrow probably is not going to be even close to a reform. It's going to be about a tax cut. And if you look at the picture that's developing right now, the tax cut, again, is going to benefit the rich in the economy, and the hope is a trickle-down impact on the economic growth in the long run. That is not going to happen with this tax cut plan.
So in terms of the sectors in the economy that are really thriving at the moment, what would you say are the brightest spots?
There are some. The energy sector is doing well, obviously financials. In general, if you look at transportation, of course, that's doing well too. Manufacturing is getting better. But again, these are all short-term measures right now. I don't want to just look at a 3 to 6 month period or even a year. And if I don't see a trend, I'm not going to say, okay, this is established. And we're not seeing these trends yet. But those 3-4 industries have specifically benefited from. We will see what will happen, especially with the tax reform. We have to watch that, where that's going to go.
Now, in terms of pressures on the economy, we know that the Fed has been looking at what's happening with inflation. What else should we be keeping an eye on?
Well, inflation is the #1 issue. The other thing is, for President Trump's team, they have a very important job of moving President Trump away from protectionist talk, because protectionism is actually going to alienate the United States. It is going to make things worse, and only the stock market is going to continue benefiting from a short time period. But the issue of low productivity is going to be there, and low productivity means long-term economic growth is not going to be accelerating. And if that doesn't happen, the economy is not going to benefit. So my recommendation is, let's move away from the short-term solutions. Let's focus on the long-term issues. Let's start with productivity growth.
Well, we'll have to see if he follows that advice. Thank you so much, as always, CEO of BERI and our global economics analyst, Saruhan Hatipoglu.